Welcome to Around the World in 80 Albums, a music appreciation project where I'll be taking an auditory journey across the globe and stopping along the way to talk about interesting albums by artists from Brazil to Botswana, from Turkey to Thailand. The goal of this series is to move you and I away from our routine listening habits and towards a diverse and unfamiliar world of rich musicality. I'm really excited to start this project, and I hope that you'll be able to learn a few things through it, and most importantly, discover some great music to appreciate with me throughout our journey. So no matter where you're watching from, I'd like you to join me in the city I currently live, Nashville, Tennessee, to kick off our journey with a familiar American songwriter whose name is as celebrated as George Washington's. I'm talking about Bob Dylan, and today we're going to take a look at his 1969 gem, Nashville Skyline. The story goes that in 1966, Dylan made his first trip down to Nashville with Robbie Robertson of the band to record his classic double album, Blonde on Blonde. To record the album, he worked with local session musicians Charlie McCoy and Kenny Buttrey, who he'd use on the next 3 albums to follow. These two helped flesh out Dylan's Nashville sound in a way that felt authentic and cohesive, and they were crucial to this period for Dylan and the many other artists they recorded for. And while Blonde on Blonde is considered one of Dylan's very best, it wasn't until 3 years later that he fully dove into the country fried sound on Nashville Skyline. The first thing you'll notice when listening to this is that his voice sounds distinct from any other project he's done. Gone is his famous nasally half-singing, and replacing it is a buttery smooth tenor. The man himself attributes the sound to quitting smoking temporarily, but I see it as a full stylistic embrace and homage to country stars like Hank Williams. And what better way to fully embrace country music than an opening duet with Johnny Cash on the song Girl from the North Country. The recording came out of a chance meeting between the two, who were both making records at Columbia Studios in Nashville. After Cash dropped in on Dylan's recording session, the two decided to get together one night and record 18 songs together. But Girl from the North Country, a remake of a Dylan classic, was the only one that got an official release. Following the opener, we get a nice instrumental ditty, Nashville Skyline Rag, which really shows off the talent of Dylan's session musicians, including the great Charlie Daniels. The players take turns with some blazing fast solos here, and the whole thing kind of feels like an opening theme to the show that is this album. The music that follows shows a side of Dylan that's deeply relaxed and tender. For this album at least, he replaces his classic sardonic wit with breezy stories of love and heartbreak. There's some really nice grooves, some country criers, and through it all, there's a warmth that seems to permeate the entire runtime. For me, the songs To Be Alone With You and Lay Lady Lay remain some of my all-time favorites of his. And while some could make the argument that this is one of Dylan's less serious projects, Nashville Skyline shows a side of him that seems totally unconcerned with making the sharp political statements that had characterized his music up until that point. While there's a time and place for that side of Dylan, of course, the brief runtime spent inside this album instead takes the edge off in a way that always feels welcoming and loving. It's an album that personally reminds me of home, and so as we set out to travel the world, Nashville Skyline can be a familiar sight and sound that we can look forward to returning home to one day. And when that time comes, 80 albums from now, I hope that we can return back having learned many things about the world of music. So with album number 1 in the books, I'd like to thank you for choosing to join me on this intrepid journey. And I'll see you next time for the next leg of our adventure.